Stel here from the Shoot Style Sauna, here to bring you my review of WWE Backlash 2020, emanating from the Performance Center in front of the NXT faithful and some other Performance Center talents. This show marketed, branded, promoted, whatever you want to call it, greatest wrestling match ever between Edge and Randy Orton. A lot of controversy, I think, behind this build-up, because obviously it's between two guys who have been given this really hard task, but we'll get to what I think of that later in the review. We'll go from the bottom up for the pre-show to the main event, and let's start with the pre-show. The United States Championship match between Apollo Crews and Andrade. Apollo Crews, the defending champion after beating Andrade on Raw a couple weeks ago. Before the bell, Kevin Owens appears to join commentary. He talks with them, asking how they are, mainly talking up with Tom Phillips and Samoa Joe. They talk for a bit. The two are filling each other out a lot earlier in this match. KO is often talking with commentary. He's exchanging chat with them. He also calls on Angel Garza. Early on, he calls him, like, he refers to him as, like, not an actual angel. Get it, because his name is Angel. He doesn't act like it because he's a heel. Get it, guys? Yeah, it's fine. Early on in the match, Andrade gets Apollo in a DDT position they're on the ramp, and Apollo counters that, doing a backbody jump onto the ramp. It's a bit of a rough bump there. Andrade comes out okay, though. As the match goes on, commentary also plays up how KO is a former United States champion and how he may want a title shot in the future. KO replies to this comment from Joe by saying that he was the former face of America. Who remembers that gimmick from SmackDown 2017? There's a lot of back and forth. Apollo eventually gets the top rope. Well, the top turnbuckle, I should say. He goes for a superplex attempt. Andrade counters that. He puts him down in that position for, like, the double foot stomp from the top rope. He misses that. Apollo moves out of the way. They did standoff. Andrade runs towards Apollo. He gets tossed in the corner like a belly-to-belly suplex. They fight some more on the apron. Andrade eventually gets Apollo bent over in the ring, and what he does, he hits the one final beat. Yes, Johnny Gargano's new finishing move, but Apollo kicks out. Johnny Gargano was not going to be happy about that. Apollo, he fires back with a great military press into a double moonsault combo. He goes for the pin, but Garza gets on the apron to interfere, but KO stops him, hits a stunner on Garza. Apollo sees this, but he actually counters the hammerlock DDT attempt. He hits into his finisher, the toss powerbomb, and he gets the pinfall. It did take a little bit for him to get the pinfall, but it wasn't, like, awful. Like, Andrade still sold it really well. That's the match. Andrade leaves the ring. He's very down. Apollo celebrates to Kevin Owens, and that's how we end it. I'm going to give this 3 stars out of 5. I thought it was a very good back and forth match. It wasn't really, like, anything memorable. They had some really good chemistry together, I thought, and there was some really good spots. But, you know, nothing, like, too memorable. It's a decent pre-show match. The element of Kevin Owens definitely helped Apollo in the end. I think it furthers what's going to happen next for Apollo. After that, we head to the main show for the Women's Tag Team Championships. That features the role models, which is Bayley and Sasha Banks, the Iconics, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, and Bliss Cross, Applesauce, Alexa Bliss, and Nikki Cross. Before the match, we see an interview with Sasha and Bayley talking about how good the tag team champions they're going to be. Sasha does her entrance, Bayley continues the interview, they come out to the ring, and commentary throughout the match bigs up how Sasha has not won the SmackDown Women's title, because, you know, she has won the NXT Women's title, she's won the Raw Women's title a couple of times, she's been a tag champion twice now, but she has only been dodged, like, or just, like, it's eluded her, is the SmackDown Women's Championship. Because Bayley is a Grand Slam champion, Sasha is not. This match, it felt a bit sloppy at times. There were some exchanges I thought that could have been a lot better. People that get the most love in this match would be Bliss. She gets a hot tag, and that's like her slap combo to both Royce and Bayley. She gets the combos with that. They fight more. There's a big schmoz by the side of the ring. Royce gets this big crossbody on the apron. Everyone falls down. Royce then takes Banks back into the ring. Eventually, I think Cross and Bliss take control. They hit this, like, this spike double team. I think it's kind of like a Samoan drop into like a DDT. It didn't look great, but then Billie Kay, before Bliss goes to pinfall, she takes out Cross. They fight some more. Bliss gets the upper hand. She hits Twisted Bliss, but before she can go for the pin, Banks gets in the ring, pins Alexa Bliss 1, 2, 3, and that's the match. Not really much to it, but I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. Like, there was a lot of action, I think, in this match, but I personally feel that it was not the cleanest thing ever. I thought some of the spots between Bliss and Cross were not very well done. There were some bad moments for Peyton Royce in the ring, but, you know, we actually didn't really get to see much of Sasha and Bayley as well, especially Bayley. I didn't really feel like I got to see a lot of her in this match. There were some good spots, some good double team action, but all in all, I thought it was very sloppy, and I hope that the division is able to rebound on Wednesday when the role models take on Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart. I think that'll be a very, very good opportunity for them. But this match didn't do a lot for me. The right result, in my opinion, I do believe that this will continue. My assumption is that they're going to continue with this to Extreme Rules, where there, I think the role models will lose probably to the Iconics, and we'll get the proper Sasha Bayley feud from there. If they want to do it, we'll see what happens. But as I said, not a great match, but we'll see where it goes. Next up, in a more of a grudge match that's been building up on SmackDown very controversially, we have Jeff Hardy taking on Sheamus. Early on, these two are kind of feeling each other out. Sheamus is the upper hand. He trash talks Hardy early on, and they have a bit of a back and forth verbally. They fight to the outside. Jeff Hardy takes a dive up the steps. He takes down Sheamus. They keep fighting around. They get back into the ring. Sheamus drops Jeff Hardy's legs on the ring post, which looked brutal. I thought actually he might have legit hurt him, but no, Jeff fights back. He's starting to get more into the matches. Sheamus is really controlling this match from here on out. He's saying a lot of things early. He's calling the crowd enablers, which is calling back to the fact of how the feud's been going or what it's been based around, I should say, because also they're all thinking about Jeff's past, his demons and everything, so he's really playing into that part of it. Sheamus seems to dominate. He hits 2 Irish curse backbreakers, but Jeff kicks out of those. Jeff being very resilient in this match. I really like how they paced this match too. Jeff Slade then starts to fight back into the match. He hits a Whisper in the wind, but Sheamus kicks out at 2. They fight some more. Jeff gets up to the top rope to go for a Swanton bomb. Sheamus comes up, and there's an ugly fall from the top rope. It wasn't very nice looking. Sheamus gets white noise, another near fall. Jeff eventually then fights back some more. He hits the Twist of Fate. Jeff hits the Swanton, but Sheamus just barely gets his leg on the bottom rope. Very, very good spot there. They had me caught there, because I thought actually that was going to be the finish of the match. And he hits another bro kick, and that is the match. I give it 3.75 stars out of 5. I thought this was a very good match. I thought the pacing was very good. The story they were telling was very good of Jeff trying to fight his way back against all the bad things Sheamus has done to him. And I think it's actually the right result, too. I thought Sheamus could have used this win a little more, especially since Jeff beat him in the IC title tournament. And I don't think this feud's going to be over. I do think we will see this more at Extreme Rules. But for now, we'll see where it goes. I'm entertained by it. I thought it was a very good match, one of the better matches of the night. And we'll see where it goes. In your next match, it is for the Raw Women's Championship. It is the current champion, Asuka, taking on Nia Jax. This match gets pretty of a fast-paced start. Asuka is going for a lot of submissions early on. She goes right away with a head scissor into an arm wringer. Nia powers out of that. She then also gets around her some more and goes for an octopus hold. Nia gets out of that as well. So a lot of the early offense Asuka is going for in this match is not really working, because Nia is powering out of just about everything. After that, Nia takes advantage. She powers Asuka around the ring for a while, but Asuka, kind of like Jeff did in the last match, she fights her way back, getting some strikes in on Nia. They then fight to the outside of the ring. They have a schmoz out there, but quickly, very quickly, I should think, because the new rule that Vince has been adding in from what my team has been telling me, the ref counts to 10, and we have a double count out. Yes, it was not very long, and yeah, I thought it was very sudden, and the match really couldn't get anything going to me. I'm going to give it 1.5 stars out of 5, because the stuff that they were doing, I thought it was solid, but I just thought the finish was very poor. I don't like this double count, because that means this feud's going to go on. Probably still Extreme Rules, while we probably get Charlotte ready to become Asuka's next big challenger for SummerSlam, where hopefully Asuka retains, but we'll see. All in all, not very good booking. I'm not a fan of this feud continuing, and I just thought it was a very poorly booked match. In your next match, we have a handicap match for the Universal Championship. It is the champion Braun Strowman against the challengers The Miz and John Morrison. They show a video package leading up to this match where they had The Miz and Morrison messing with Strowman a lot on SmackDown, and they come out to the ring first and they drop this very 80s style music video, which I thought was hilarious. It really suits their characters as well. Braun then comes out. It's a lot of dominating by Miz and Morrison in this match. They're showing they're taking control. They have some good spots where it's like, oh wait, they might actually do it, but no. Braun's trying to fight back. He's able to take them both one-on-one, but it really requires the teamwork of Miz and Morrison, which they do a pretty good job of. The only really memorable moments I can think of this match is when Miz and Morrison hit their double team finish, which is like Miz has him in a skull-crushing finale. Morrison does, I think he does his dropkick off the top. They get the cover, takes a little bit, but before he gets to 3, Miz pulls Morrison off Strowman because Miz doesn't want Morrison to be Universal Champion. A little bit of dissent there. This then leads to Braun being Braun, so big old Braun. Power slam, 1, 2, 3, Strowman retains. Again, 1.5 stars out of 5. I didn't think it was a very good match, but the only thing I really remember was the finish. Strowman celebrates up the ramp. No sign of the Fiend. No sign of anything else for Strowman just yet, but we leave with the shot of Miz and Morrison. Bit disgruntled, not very happy because they had some teases of dissent during the match, and yeah, that's how we fade to black with that one. Next up, we go to the WWE Championship match between champion Drew McIntyre and the challenger Bobby Lashley. before the bell even starts, so this is like when Drew gets to the ring, Lashley goes right for the full Nelson. The referee, so not one where, but like multiple referees run down to break it up. Drew's selling this a little bit, and Lashley is able to dominate a lot of this matchup early on. A lot of power moves. He then takes him. McIntyre slowly starts to fight back into the match. He drives Lashley into the plexiglass outside the ring, so a little bit of hope spot there for Drew. But then Lashley takes control again. He gets him, I believe, like at a fireman's carry or like a Samoan drop position, but he drops Drew right on his head next to the announce table. It's very bad. You can see Lashley check on Drew right away. Lashley throws Drew into the ring post. Not head first, fortunately. It's more like his abdomen, so Lashley clearly catering for Drew there. Lashley then goes for a spear back in the ring. McIntyre counters that. Drew then takes a spine buster. He kicks out at 1, again showing off the strength of Drew being so resilient as a champion. He's fighting with all his power. He can use the power back into the match. He hits a reverse Alabama slam for a near fall. Lashley then counters a dive from Drew for crossface. He takes control of Drew, powers out of that. Lashley then goes for a spear, but Drew counters and puts Lashley in a Kimura lock. Bit of a nod to Brock Lesnar there. Very interesting stuff right there. Lashley gets out of that as well. Drew then goes for a Claymore, but Lashley finally hits the spear, only for a near fall. But then Lana shows up. Yep, we thought we would go the show without her, but nope. She gets her head in here. Lashley takes eye of her. She takes a bump after Drew throws Lashley into her, or like Lashley almost runs into her. She gets off the apron. Turn around, Claymore, 1, 2, 3. Drew wins the match, and after that, we see Lashley and MVP look at Lana on the floor. Backs turn, they walk away from her. Lana's left on the ground, not very happy, and that's how we fade to black. I'm going to give it 3.75 stars out of 5. I thought it was a very good match, very physical. It did have some ugly spots, mainly the part where Drew got dropped on his head to the outside, but he appeared to be okay, which is very good, but very physical, told a decent story, and I like where it's going. Is this feud over? Hard to say. We'll see where it goes, but hey, not many complaints here. I thought it was a solid match, and I'm excited to see what's up next. In what is supposed to be your semi-main event, we are supposed to have a Raw Tag Team title match between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. However, this is a bit different as the beginning of what turns into this really very bizarre thing. It starts off with the two teams backstage. They start in the parking lot, but they are fighting back there. They actually fight around Braun Strowman's Buick that he drove into the arena earlier in the show, and we see that car get destroyed some more by the windshield being destroyed, and they eventually fight some more. They go to the backstage area, and the Street Profits get golf clubs, but then the camera pans over to the War Raiders, or Viking Raiders, whatever you want to call them. They have their own shields, and they have a bowling ball, referring back to the skits they've had on Raw of like, anything you can do, we can do better. That whole thing is being played up here. They fight some more. They fight in like more of this hallway in the PC. They agree to drop their arms and do like more of a traditional match. And then the Street Profits make a Dave Chappelle reference, which I thought was very funny. 5 fingers, say to the face. What? Slap. And throughout this is the first of many. They have all these memories of Ivar doing all the different segments from Raw and thinking how good they were for the Viking Raiders, and it just shows how Ivar also, like, how much he loves his mutton, how much fun he had bowling and all that stuff like that. So he takes the bowling ball when it comes back to reality, and he throws the bowling ball into Montez's crotch. Bianca Belair won't be too happy about that. Very nice moment there, and it only gets more crazy from here, trust me. And we have to remember a lot of this. They fight back into the parking lot. We see them go into, like, I think Dawkins is able to, like, pretty shoulder tackle one of the War Raiders into the glass in the outside the Performance Center, and that breaks, and they comment about that, which is very ugly. They fight more in front of, like, the production trucks, and they all stop. Pulling its lot up in the motorcycle, coming forward, undoing his motorcycle helmet, is Akira Tozawa, and he's backed by a lot of mass. He says in Japanese that anything they can do, he can do better. Big fight between the ninjas and now dubbed the Viking Profits, I believe what they're called, which is the alliance between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. They take out the ninjas, however, they get intimidated by this very, very tall, I believe it's the 7'4" guy from the Performance Center. He holds up a sword, and the Viking Profits run away. They're on top of the production truck. They get back to fighting each other. Akira Tozawa and company are nowhere to be seen at this point, and they fight. They all take a tumble into the, I guess, like the dumpster below, and they comment, we have an actual match to do, basically. And so you also see more flashbacks of Ivar having good times just before this, and then we see Jessica Carr, the referee from SmackDown, come in and say, hey, you guys have a match coming up. And she then says to Ivar, you're kind of cute, which is a reference to how Ivar is always complimented by the females in, like, the sports segments from Raw, and how they would say how Eric isn't as attractive, but Eric is married to Sarah Logan, so I don't think he cares. The container rumbles a lot. makes a lot of noise, and eventually you see it off camera. You see like I can't tell if it was either like a tentacle or like a crocodile tail. I couldn't tell what it was, and that's how that happens. This was bizarre. Like, I liked it personally because I thought it adds some more flavor and differentiation to the show. I thought it made it very more enjoyable and more cinematic work was done, so I can't complain about that. And the match never properly happened because it was announced like the same day as the show was, so I can't really complain that it didn't happen. But, you know, they did what they could with it. I thought it was very entertaining. It's more good cinematic work from WWE. I'll probably just give it a letter grade instead. I'm going to give this segment, I'm going to give it an A-. I thought for entertainment value, it was very good. I enjoyed it a lot, and it looks like this feud's going to continue. Who will win in the end? We shall see. In your main event of the evening, it is the self-proclaimed greatest wrestling match ever. And you can tell how much pre-tape production was put into this, because both guys come out to their usual fanfare. For introductions, because it's very much treated as a bigger deal than the rest of them, you see these MSG branded mics above the ring, with the voice of Howard Finkel doing introductions for both Orton and Edge, which I thought was a very nice touch, very good tribute to Finkel, and adds to the big fight feel of this match. However, what took me out of this match was the filtered crowd noise, which I believe it was, implemented by WWE. I thought it made the setting feel so unrealistic. I thought it felt very artificial and kind of forced in some ways, which I'll talk about later on, but, you know, that is one thing that took me out of this match. It's going to affect the grade at the end, too. But as for the match itself, these two, they try. And they try a lot, and I think they make this match work very, very well for considering the age and like the typical styles these two work. Early on, it's very fast-paced. We see Edge do a lot of arm drags to Orton, and he eventually baits him before Orton goes something else. He gets a big boot on Orton. They fight some more. It's a lot of back and forth too, but it's very fast-paced early on. Edge gets to the top rope, hits a clothesline onto Orton, and then when we pan back over to Orton after the bump, Orton is busted open. I can't tell if it was a blade jump. I think it was, seeing how the match went on. And from here on, it's a very psychological story, building up a lot of the mentality of the two and how they're catching each other off guard, of how they're acting. And what I'm noticing too is that there's a lot of these tributes to these WWE legends and Hall of Famers. One of the first ones that I caught notice of was Orton. He looks up to the ceiling. He then attempts for the 3 amigos. He gets 2, but he does not get the 3rd one because Orton gets countered by Edge. We also see tributes to Benoit because I believe Edge gets a crossface on Orton. We then see Orton go for an angle slam. He gets that. We see the Eddie tribute I just mentioned, and then Edge is able to counter Orton later on off the ropes and hits an unprettier, they call it. Orton kicks out of that. We also see Orton hit a pedigree. Edge kicks out of that as well. Triple H won't be happy about that either. They exchange some more back and forth, a lot of back and forth in this match, as I said. It goes on for a while. This is like a 45-minute match as well. Edge hits a rock bottom, which doesn't get the match done either. But then they eventually come to their senses. They do their own moves to each other. More exchanges happen, more counters. Orton goes for the power slam, that doesn't work either. Edge goes for the anti-venom, that doesn't work either. Orton hits an RKO, that gets a near fall too. Edge gets a spear on Orton after reversing him, after he goes for the punt kick, which we haven't seen in such a long time. Edge hits the spear off that, that's a near fall too. More like counters, more back and forth stuff. Orton gets put in the anti-venom, which is the rear naked choke that Edge used to beat Orton at Mania. But Edge gets, well, Orton, I should say, counters that with what looks to be a low blow. He kicks him down low, but he gets that, and then Orton then sits up for the punt. He nails it, and that is the match. Randy Orton wins the proclaimed greatest match ever. I thought this was very good. I'm going to give it 4.25 stars out of 5. I thought they exceeded expectations, considering stuff that was put against them, but this is no Tyler Bate versus Walter. This is no Walter versus Pete Dunne. This is no Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. This is no Tetsuya Naito versus Kenny Omega. This is no Omega Man versus Young Bucks from Revolution. It's not like in that tier. It's still one of the better matches I've seen in either of these guys' careers, though. I thought it was a very well done match, very psychological, a lot of story being told, and like the nods to the legends, maybe it was a bit much, but you know, it showed more variety. We saw a lot of variety in both men's movesets too, which I liked a lot, and you know, it showed how like these two could work a match. I thought it was very well done. It's a very big contrast to their normal formulaic match that these two guys do for matches past and Orton in like the past couple of years, and I thought they did a very good job. Like I said, it was not the greatest match ever, but hey, they put together what I thought was the match of the night, and yeah, they did great. The show ends with Orton celebrating, And then the commentary questions that if Orton has just ended Edge's career, and they love how he is a legend killer, which I thought was a very good nod there. But yeah, that's how Backlash ends. In terms of the MVP, I'm gonna give that to Randy Orton for his performance in the main event and also picking up the big win. So very good props there to Randy Orton. As for my final grade, I'm going to give the show a B-. I thought everything up until the Raw Tag Team segment was not very good. I'd say for pros and cons, the positives of the show, which I think were Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. I enjoyed that match a lot. I thought it also showed Sheamus' diversity in moveset there. I thought it was a very well-done match. I also enjoyed the WWE title match between McIntyre and Lashley and what that's going to mean for the future. The two cinematic matches in both the tag team title segment and the main event. Everything else was just kind of in the middle to me. I thought Women's Tag Team didn't deliver. I thought the Raw Women's title match was very, very lackluster, and I did not like the finish to that at all. I thought the Universal title match was very flat, and I feel bad for Miz and Morrison because now they're going to get broken up because they're such an entertaining tag team together, but everything else in the show just didn't hold up. So like the last three matches, I thought. The last three matches, if those didn't happen, this would probably be in like the D category, honestly. But hey, they picked up towards the end. Some great last couple of matches and segments, and it helped the show rebound in some way. Not the best show that we've done this year, but still, they put in a good effort, and I think the main event segments, that being the WWE title match, the main event, and the cinematic segment with the tag teams, it made the show a lot better and more entertaining as a whole, so that will give me that show grade of a B-. And that is my review of WWE Backlash 2020. Again, a pretty solid show, not the best one ever, and it certainly picked up towards the end. But yeah, that is it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button on the Shoot Style Sauna and stay tuned for more videos of us covering WWE, All Elite Wrestling, New Japan with the New Japan Cup coming up, and a lot more. So, I'm Stel for the Shoot Style Sauna, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching another pay-per-view review brought to you by us here at the Shoot Style Sauna. Please hit the like and the subscribe button down below and leave a comment telling us your thoughts about the 2020 edition of WWE Backlash, and we'll see you next time.